in the House? Yes, there is. There is objection. Question number 6, Peseta, Sam Lotu-Iiga.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Associate Minister for Social Development. Why do the welfare fraud reforms he announced yesterday focus so heavily on relationship fraud?
Honourable Chester Burrows.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Relationship fraud, such as claiming a domestic purposes benefit while being in a marriage or de facto relationship, is one of the most common types of fraud. And last year, there were over $20 million, which was of entitlements taken illegally from taxpayers, hard-working taxpayers in this country. Because domestic relationship fraud is difficult to detect, it can go on for some time before it is detected. And it's interesting to note that last year, of the 61 people who were charged with receiving entitlements in excess of $100,000, 41 of those were people in relationship fraud, largely women with not a lot of equity available to meet those and carrying the full weight of criminal responsibility. We think that the other party in a relationship, in respect of that, getting away scot-free is unjust, unfair and immoral.
Supplementary question, Peseta, Sam Lotu-Iiga.
To the Minister, what is the government doing to address relationship welfare fraud?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Chester Burrows.
Mr Speaker, yesterday I announced provisions that would mean that the non-beneficiary party in a relationship fraud situation would be criminally responsible and responsible for the debt if they knew or should have known that that fraud was being committed. It's unthinkable to me that someone could live for some time in a long-term relationship, in a marriage-type relationship, with a crime being committed in the home that they are living in while they are there, and be able to get away with it scot-free. And what I'm pleased to note is this, Mr Speaker, is that from the emails and responses I've had today from good, decent and hard-working Labour Party voters, they love it.
Supplementary
question, Jacinda Ardern.
Mr Speaker.
Order. Supplementary question,
to the
Jacinda
Minister.
Ardern.
Given all fraud should be pursued, has he suggested to the Minister of Revenue that he apply his new welfare provisions to tax fraud, including a new offence for spouses who ought to have known they were benefiting from fraud? If not, why not?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Chester Burrows.
I have been having discussions with the hard-working Minister for Revenue, the Honourable Peter Dunn. It's important to note a couple of things from the quite proper question that's been put, and that is, for instance, in respect of tax evasion, that is a fraud which is frequently committed away from the home by one member, and in respect one member of a household. In respect of criminal justice...
Order! Do the members want to hear the answer or not?
As that member will know, the threshold of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. The next point to realise is this, that relationship benefit fraud does not exist except for two people in a relationship, and the government does not believe one person should get away from that scot-free.
Further supplementaries? Supplementary, Peseta, Sam Lotu-Iiga.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Further supplementary to the Minister. How does he respond to concerns that the changes may disadvantage women in an abusive relationship?
Mr Speaker.
Honourable Chester Burrows.
This is a very important point, and it is a point that has been raised over the last 24 hours by a number of people. The fact is that the law recognises that a woman living in an abusive relationship is not living in a relationship in respect of a marriage. So what that means is this. For the purposes of the Social Security Act, a woman living in an abusive relationship, or any person living in an abusive relationship, is not, by definition, living in a relationship in the nature of a marriage, and so cannot be prosecuted for benefit fraud.
Question number 7, Dr. Russell Norman.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.